I'm just letting you know.
Lisa, can I hear us?
So, today we're going to be doing Unit 8, Introduction to Geometry. And this is going to be angle classifications and operations. So, we're going to talk about what we do with angles, how we name angles, because naming angles is a really important concept in this topic, okay? So, oops, what just happened? Alright, so there are four main classifications of angles. Those are acute. Acute angles have degree measures between 0 and 90 degrees. Now, if your degree measures exactly 90 degrees, we then call that a right angle. So right angles will often use this symbol right here. Okay? See how it's like that square symbol? That indicates that that's a right angle. That angle has 90 degrees in it.
Yep.
An obtuse angle measures greater than 90, but less than 180.
Yep.
And then a straight angle is an exactly straight line, which is 180 degrees. Now we're going to talk about naming angles. So, angles are formed by two rays. So a ray is an endpoint on one side and arrow on the other. So we basically take two of those and put them together, and it forms an angle. Now this, at the end here, we call this the vertex of an angle. The vertex is the pointy part of the angle, okay? Now, there are four main ways to name the angle. You can do what we call three-letter naming, which is where we name it by the three letters that form the angle. So as you can see here, it would be called B, A, C. So angle, this is the symbol for angle, angle BAC. Notice the vertex is always the middle letter in that naming system, okay? Now, there is no reason we need to go in that order. We can also go the other direction. We can also name it C, A, B, okay? So vertex will always be the middle letter. So it's basically tracing out that angle for you as you name out the letters. BAC traces out the angle. CAB traces out the angle, okay?
Back and cab.
Yes. So the other way you can name an angle is by its number. Now you have to be really careful here. Angles can sometimes have their measure here. Now, how do you know the difference between a naming number and a measure? A measure will have a degree symbol on it. Does everybody know what a degree symbol looks like? It's a little circle like this. That's what a degree symbol looks like. And that means that's a measure. Now, this is a number, a naming number. Okay, see how there's no degree symbol on it? So you can also name it angle 1. And the last way you can name an angle, now this naming system only works for certain angles. Okay, if there's only one angle that is angle A, you can also just name it by its vertex, angle A. And that system only works for certain angles. If there's more than one angle that has that vertex, you cannot use that naming system. But if there's only one, you can. Now we're going to talk about what congruent angles are. Congruent angles are angles that have the same measure. In the diagram, measure of angle A, BC, is equal to the measure of angle DEF. So, these two angles in the diagram are congruent, okay? See how these two angles are congruent. Now, how do we know they're congruent without them telling us that they're congruent? They have these arc marks here. See these marks right here? See how they have the same mark? That means that those angles are congruent. This reads as the angle ABC is congruent to angle DEF. This symbol means congruent to, okay? This is read as, oh, I just read it. Well, never mind. Arc marks are used to show that the two angles are congruent. And an angle bisector is a ray that divides an angle into two congruent angles. So ray JK bisects angle LJM. Thus, angle LJK is congruent to angle KJM. So it basically takes the angle, splits it in half, and makes two congruent angles. Does everybody see those two congruent angles in that picture?
Yeah.
All right. So now that we've addressed that, let's go ahead and do some talk about angle addition postulate, and then we'll do some examples. So the angle addition postulate just basically states that if you have one big angle here that's formed of two smaller angles, that the sum of the two smaller must equal the larger. So in this picture, M means the measure of angle PQS, so PQS plus the measure of angle SQR is equal to the measure of PQR, the big angle. Okay, the sum of the two smaller is equal to the larger. So let's go ahead and name some angles. So this, we're going to name angles. So naming. So the first way we can name an angle is by the three-letter system. So angle, what would you call this one? D, DB, DBC.
And CBD.
Good, and CBD, very good. So angle DBC and angle CBD. Now we can also name it by its number, the angle number, which is number what? Angle 2. And the last way we can name it, if it's just a single angle, is by its vertex, which is what? Angle B. So that's how you name the angle 4 different ways.
Should we do that for the rest?
Yep. So the next one is going to be angle XYZ. What's another way you can name this one? ZYX. You can also name it angle 3, because that's the number inside of it, right?
And then Y.
And then angle Y by its vertex.
Oh.
Okay. Everybody see that system, how it works? So the next one over here, how can we name this angle over here?
ABC, CBA,
Good, angle ABC. The vertex has to be the letter in the middle. Very important. Next one, we can also name it CBA. CBA. Vertex is in the middle. And then just by its vertex, which is what?
B.
B. Now why can't I name it with a number? There's no number in the picture. Can't name it with the number that doesn't exist. Sometimes that will be the case. I want to show you an example like that. Now we're going to do some angle classification. So an angle measures 50 degrees. What type of angle is this? Good, this is an acute angle. If an angle measures less than 90, it must be acute. An angle measures 91 degrees. What type of angle is this? Good, this is obtuse. Obtuse falls between 90 and 180. Angle A and angle E are congruent. Angle A measures 40 degrees. What is the sum of angle, I meant to put an E here, I don't know why I put C. What is the sum of the angle A and angle E? So the sum is you add them together. So 40 degrees plus 40 degrees is equal to what?
80.
80. Now, how did I know that angle E was also 40 degrees?
Because the E in it.
Because it says they're congruent. So they told us the measure of angle A was 40, and they told me that A and E are congruent. I can assume that they have the same angle measure, meaning their sum is 40 plus 40. Is everyone good with that? All right, so this one we're going to draw a picture. So it says angle A, they give us an angle, just a sketch, doesn't have to be perfect. So angle A is bisected by segment AB. So basically there's a segment out the middle here. That, what?
Instead of angle, can we just write the word angle instead?
What?
So the reason I want you to draw it.
To me, it has like an L.
What?
It's like, it looks like an L. It's kind of cool.
Oh, the symbol for the angle?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, you just make it a little more squished down than an L.
Okay.
That's like the universal symbol, but I didn't like make it up, you know what I mean? So, we have angle A bisected by segment AB. Angle A has a measure of 100 degrees. So, this whole entire angle's measure is 100 degrees, the whole thing, whole entire thing. So, what would be the measure of each resulting? Good. So each one of these would be 50 degrees, right? If the whole thing is 100, then each one will be 50.
Wait, that makes no sense.
You just divide it.
So the whole entire angle is 100 degrees, and we take it and we split it in half.
Oh, so you split it by 2.
Yes, we divide it by 2. Exactly. What is the angle measure of the sum of two right angles? Good. So one right angle is 90 degrees. Right angles are always exactly 90.
So it'll be a straight
Obtuse.
plus another right angle, which is 180 degrees.
Obtuse.
And read it
Doesn't
again.
obtuse mean fat?
Go look at your classification again. What do you think? What? An 80 plus a 90 plus a 90 is 180. What's a 180 degree angle classified as?
Obtuse.
No,
Straight angle?
a straight angle. Thank you.
Oh.
So if your angle is exactly 180, it's straight. If it's exactly 90, it's right. Anything between 0 and 90 is acute. Anything between 0 and or 90 and 180 is obtuse. Okay, very important. Is everybody good with 1 through 5? Everybody good with those concepts? All right, you ready to move on? All right, we're given in number 6. We're given this angle. What's the classification of it?
Obtuse.
Obtuse because it's between 90 and 180. If you wanted to make this into a straight angle, how many more degrees would you need to open this angle?
Wait, say again?
If you wanted to make this into a straight angle,
35.
how many more degrees would we need?
That would be
80.
65.
35.
65.
Damn.
So let's talk about how we got this, for those of you that didn't. So basically we have 115 degrees and we need to add X more degrees to that. So we take 115 degrees, I know, but some people don't know what's going on yet. So this is 115 degrees plus we need to add in some more degrees, right, to make it 180, and the total we want it to be is 180. So what we would do is we would then subtract 115 on both sides, which is going to give us X to be equal to, I think Austin you said it earlier, it's 65, right?
Yeah.
So 65 degrees more we would need to make it into a straight angle, right? Everybody see how we got that?
Yeah.
What's the classification of angle right here in number 7? Yes.
Acute.
Good, it's acute. And if you wanted to make this into a right angle, how many more degrees would we need to open it up? What do you think?
What?
We want to make this acute angle into a right angle. How many more degrees do we need?
What does it say, 48?
Yes, 48. So what you would do, good, 42. So it's going to be 48 plus X, the number of extra degrees we need, is going to be equal to 90. We're going to subtract 48 on both sides, and like Raylyn said, we're going to get 42 degrees.
Joseph.
So your goal is figuring out how many more degrees you need to get it to that angle measure that they want. Okay? Is everybody good with 6 and 7? Is everybody ready to move on to 8 and 9? Alright. So, angle A is 42 degrees and angle G is 64 degrees. What is the classification of angle A? Xavier, what do you think?
What?
What's the classification of angle A in number 8?
24.
If an angle is 42 degrees, what's its classification? Yes. Thank you, acute.
I don't know what you mean by that.
What is the sum of angle A and angle G?
Obtuse. Oh wait.
You're right, it would be obtuse. But we want to know the exact measure, which would be what?
108.
Good, 106. 106.
Chill out.
And now your answer was basically what they're asking in the next question. Yes, it is obtuse, right? So the new angle, 106 degrees, is obtuse. So is everybody good with how we got these classifications, how we got 106? All that? All right. Next one. What is the measure of DBC?
Acute plus obtuse.
So when I ask for a measure, I'm looking for a number. It's 70. How did you know it was 70?
It's right there.
Because they have the common arc marks. Okay, common arc mark. See those marks? They have the same mark, meaning they have the same measure. What is the classification of DBC? I think you said it earlier, Jet.
Obtuse and acute.
It's just a cube.
It's just acute, yeah, because it's
Teach.
less than 90. What is the measure of ABC?
Obtuse.
Two.
Like, the measure is the actual number, which is what? So 70 plus,
70.
which is?
140.
100.
Good, 140. And then that is classified as obtuse, like you said.
Yeah. Obtuse.
Good.
Obtuse.
Is everybody good with that? How we did it? You ready to try a practice sheet on this?
No.
You ready to get this practice sheet done before you play on your phone?
No.
Yeah.